Voidspark, Episode 6, Doors. As Eve moved deeper into the hallway, she could hear Deck breathing behind her, uneven, echoing off the peeling walls. "How did you know I went into the Voidspark?" he asked. Voidspark. She had never heard anyone else name them before. Deck had been out here on his own, long enough to start naming things. "I know what those are, Deck." She kept her eyes on the hallway ahead. "I have been finding them for a long time. I know when someone has been taken, and I know how to bring them back." 7 seconds on her wrist timer. That was all it took to pull him out. It had felt longer. It always did. She had followed him in and seen all of it, the gun in his hand. Jade hanging there, not screaming anymore, just watching, and Deck turning the barrel toward his own head like it was the only idea he had ever had. She had pulled him out before he could finish, before they could take hold. He had not said much since. The girls would be on the 3rd floor by now. Eve picked up her pace. Behind her, Deck's breathing was getting worse and his footsteps were uneven. "There are stairs straight ahead, Deck. 3rd floor." He grunted. She ran. Deck fell behind. He would have more questions. They always did. She hoped everyone didn't die this time. She had saved people, she thought to herself as she moved up the stairs. She had killed people too. She never wanted it to end that way, but some people refused to accept what was happening to them. They could not be left alive to open more pathways for those beings from the blackness to reach through. She had learned to close doors. She had never learned to stop hearing them shut. Void sparks, the sparks. Deck had given her a word, and she was already making it hers. She hit the 3rd floor at a run and went straight for the end of the hall. Behind her, Deck reached the top of the stairs. She could hear him coming, but she did not wait. She opened the door. They were standing by the windows, pressed together. She could see Jade's eyes in the light coming through the glass. The arms were there too, 3 of them. They trailed off Jade's back like something grown there, hovering over both girls. Not touching, not yet. Floating just above their skin, patient. Visible, then not. Then visible again, like something seen through heat shimmer. Each trip to the void made it easier to see the people who had been tagged. She wished it did not. Neither girl knew they were there. They would soon enough, and then the real terror would begin. The sparks did not like it when anyone learned about their existence. Deck came through the door behind her, breathing hard, his face red from the stairs. He stopped beside Eve and stared at the girls. He had a connection to them now. Eve took Jade's hand. "You have to trust me now, Jade. You came here. That tells me you are willing to listen. Something came back with you from that place. If I do not get it off you, you will open more doorways like the one you went into. More people will be pulled inside." Cassie pushed closer to Jade and looked Eve in the eye. "Tell us who you are, and tell us who the hell that guy is. What do you mean she brought something back?" They were not weak. The weak ones never came this far. "My name is Eve. That is Deck. He is a police officer and he saw what happened to Jade today." She let that settle. "Cassie, you have been protecting her all night. I need you to let me protect her now." Cassie did not move. They never did know. They had to decide anyway. "If I do not do what I need to in the next 60 seconds, things are going to get very bad in this room. For all of us." She let go of Jade's hand and stepped back toward Deck, keeping her eyes on their faces. Eve wrapped her fingers around the gun in her pocket while she waited for Jade to answer. The arms coalesced again. She wondered if the sparks knew they were about to lose an agent one way or another. Jade stepped away from Cassie, not looking at her. She was looking at her hand. Jade flinched, then nodded. Eve's fingers relaxed on the gun, and she let out the breath she had been holding. She did not want to kill these people, and now she hopefully would not have to. It was not about to get easier for Jade. She turned to Jade. "Go to the windows, turn around." Do not move until I tell you." She turned to Deck. "Stay with Cassie. Once I start, do not speak. Do not move. Do not interfere. If you do, we die." "Cassie, Deck, say you understand." She heard them say it. "Jade, remove your jacket." Eve moved up behind Jade as the jacket fell to the ground, and the arms turned toward her, all three of them bending in the air like weeds in a current. She had been to the blackness enough times that it had changed her. They reached. They could not touch her. She could see Cassie beside Deck, rigid, both hands balled into fists, the four-fingered one pressed against her thigh. She turned her back to Deck and Cassie and pulled it from her belt. It was warm in her hand, the way it always was, a low heat that pulsed against her palm like something alive. The blue light spilled between her fingers. She could feel it humming through the bones of her wrist into the place where her tendons met the muscle. It had hummed 11 times before on this world. It could hum 11 more. It was not enough. Eve lifted Jade's shirt and set her left hand flat against Jade's shoulder blade. Jade flinched. The skin under Eve's palm was hot and wrong, a fever radiating outward from the places where the arms met the body. She pressed the device against the base of the first arm. The hum traveled up through her hand and into her elbow. The arm seized, went rigid, and fell away from Jade's back, like a dead vine cut from a wall. It hit the floor and dissolved into nothing before it stopped moving. Jade screamed. A raw, airless sound. The sound of something being torn out of a place it was never supposed to be. Eve heard Deck's voice hit her from behind, raw with something she recognized. Fear turning to anger, turning to the need to do something with his hands. She could feel Cassie straining against the order to stay still, watching the person she loved scream and being told the most important thing she could do was nothing. Eve had been her more than once. Jade's eyes found the window. Eve saw the moment it happened, the girl catching her own reflection and seeing the two remaining arms writhing behind her. The arms were growing now, thickening, thrashing in the air around them. They knew. Jade's mouth opened. Nothing came out. She brought the device to the base of the second arm. The blue light poured out, brighter now, harder. The hum climbed again. The arm fought. It clenched against Jade's back, dug its claw into the muscle between her shoulder blades and held. Jade buckled forward. Her forehead hit the window glass. She screamed until there was no air left in her. Eve leaned in. She locked her wrist and held it there, and the arm resisted. 2 seconds, 3, 4, and then the connection broke. The arm peeled away and was gone. Jade sagged against the window. Eve could see her reflection in the glass, the girl's face, the sweat, the one remaining arm floating behind her like a flag in dead air. The last one knew. It did not thrash. It did not reach. It pulled itself tight against Jade's spine and flattened, pressing into the channel between her vertebrae, thinning itself, spreading across her back like ink, soaking into paper. It was trying to become part of her. "Hold still." 2 words, all she could afford. Eve brought the device close and the arm slid away. She tracked it with the light the way you track a vein beneath the skin. She found it, pinned it with the light. It writhed against Jade's spine, trying to go deeper, trying to go through. And Eve held the device steady, and the hum became a sound she could feel in her teeth, in her jaw, and the blue light turned white. The last arm tore free with a sound too loud for the small room to contain. Gone. Jade's knees hit the concrete and she folded over, shaking, the sound coming out of her not quite a sob and not quite a scream. Cassie was there before Eve could turn around on the floor, pulling Jade into her. Eve turned and faced Deck. He stared at her. She knew that look. It was the look that came before the questions, and the questions were always the same, and she would answer them the way she always answered them. The device still hummed in her hand. She looked at it. She knew when she had decided to try to help. The math did not work. She could do this 8 more times. 8 more until the last thing she would ever hold from her world would be gone, and it was just a piece of metal. Eve put her other hand in her pocket. She wrapped it around the gun, the only other thing that could help, and she knew it was still not enough.